Last week we talked about tips for cruising with kids, and this week we have tips for just cruising.
Cruising in general.
So, I guess we'll get right to it. The first tip is, don't think that a Disney cruise is just for families with kids. We've sailed with plenty of people who either don't have kids, or they're leaving their kids at home, or their kids are grown up and they're in another stateroom, but they're not going to spend all the time with them. So a Disney cruise is for everyone. If you like Disney and you want to cruise, do it.
Do it. Definitely don't let the Disney aspect, or Disney's just for kids aspect, dictate how you spend your money and your time. I mean, if your kids are grown, or maybe you just got married, or just don't have kids, I mean, spending time with your significant other is time well spent. So, and if you both have a commonality, like Miriya and I both love Disney, why not spend your time doing something you love? You're going to build those memories, and eventually, if you want to have a family, spend that time with family as well.
Because we know once these kids are grown up, we'll still cruise. They might, be in a stateroom or two down the hall with their own families, but we're not paying for that. So I guess we'll move to the next tip, and it is, if you can, book early. The day that new itineraries open up for booking, they are historically cheaper than if you book 6 months beforehand. We booked our cruise from New Orleans on the Wonder that we just took on the day that it opened up, and then we sat and we waited for 18 months for it to come around.
But during that time, the biggest thing with booking early is you lock in your rate. We continuously looked at the rate because we're looking at if it was a little bit more at the time, we were going to upgrade to either an Ocean View or a Veranda, depending on the price. But it just kept on going up, and because we locked in our rate, not only were our port fees locked in, but also our baseline rate was locked in. So if the ports decide, hey, we're going to charge more, then it doesn't come from our end. That's why you see the increase in the staterooms when you get closer to the sailing itself. So booking early definitely has its benefits. And one thing with booking early is it's based off of your Castaway Key membership. So Platinum obviously gets to book at 180 days out, or
for what? No, that's when you do check-in.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking check-in. When they get
Platinum books it the first day, and then Gold, and then Silver, and then first-time cruisers.
Yeah, so it's a tiered approach to it. So you may or may not be able to get a cabin on the sailing that you're looking at, just because maybe you're a new cruiser. You're going to be fourth in line compared to Silver, Gold, or even Platinum. So,
and the price will go up a little bit each of those days, but not exponentially. I think between Platinum and when we could book for Gold for our Panama Canal cruise, the price went up maybe a couple $100 for a family of 4. However, by about a week after we booked, it had gone up $1,000.
Yep.
So book early. There is one instance where this is not the case. Once it gets to about 2 months before the cruise, if they have rooms they need to fill, they will bring out what is called a guaranteed rate. You won't get to pick your room, but the price may be lower. It's not guaranteed that it will be lower, but it's if they have rooms that they need to fill.
Yeah, and it's based off of you book a category. So if you book an Ocean View stateroom with Veranda, then you're going to get that category, and it could be split amongst a couple different decks on the ship. So it's good because it's a little bit cheaper than a room you book yourself, like you select the stateroom, but you won't find out until up to a couple weeks, maybe even a month before the sailing, where your room is going to be. So
but also, again, that bringing out the guaranteed rate is not something that has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. If you want the ultimate Disney vacation,
Mm-hmm.
book a land and sea. We have done this twice,
Yeah,
3 times. 3 times.
Is it 3 times?
On the Magic, on the Fantasy, and then this last time was technically a land and sea. We only
True.
did 1 day at Disney World, but it was technically
On land and sea.
a land and sea. We
Okay.
did a cruise and Disney World, so
True.
we just pretty much explained what that was. But so you can do it at Disney World or Disneyland. Do a few days at the parks before or after your cruise and get Disney.
Mm-hmm. Get your Disney on and then go out to sea, whether it's a Mexican Riviera cruise out in California or it's a
Panama
Canal or a Bahamas cruise, Caribbean cruise.
Yeah. We prefer to do the days at the parks first
Mm-hmm.
because they're less relaxed, and then you can get on the ship and be more relaxed. Just
Kind of coast through the rest of your vacation. So
if you are feeling overwhelmed, because picking a cruise and all that goes into it can be
a lot. It definitely can.
overwhelming, especially if you're new to the experience.
Mhm.
So
Use a travel agent.
yeah,
We always use a travel agent when we're booking, and it's really a carefree process. You let your travel agent know kind of what you want, and they use their expertise, whether they have an expertise or not in Disney. Some
go with
travel
one
agent,
who knows Disney.
yeah, one that knows Disney is going to be more knowledgeable, and they're going to be able to know exactly what you're wanting based off of a vague idea. Most of the time we know exactly what we want, so we're able to pass that information to our agent, and that way it guides them a little bit easier. But for a brand new cruiser, a travel agent can be a really big asset, because maybe you don't know where the best place to have your cabin is for maybe people that aren't cruisers. They get seasick easily. A travel agent would know that stuff. Also, when you're talking about like getting checked in with online check-in, pass all that info to your travel agent, which online check-in for Disney cruises at midnight Eastern time.
Yeah.
If
Sometimes it glitches and doesn't quite work. But
yeah, but either way, if depending on your travel agent, because they definitely don't have to, but
some do, some don't.
but they'll stay up or get up early, depending on whether you're booking Disney World, and they'll accomplish that for you while you're asleep. You don't have to worry about it. Just make sure you pass the info that they need along to them, and they'll take care of all of that. That's really a benefit when you're talking about Disney World and getting fast passes and dining reservations. You don't have to worry about it. You just pass a priority list of, hey, this is what I'd like. They say, cool, I'll take care of it.
Yep. And the best ones don't charge a fee.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you doing it without doing the work.
And you get a wide variety of not only experience but also services that are included with that. Our travel agent checks in with us at least once a month just to make sure that we're doing good. If there are any updates, as updates come from Disney Cruise Line, they're passed along to us. And if they're with Disney Cruise Line, they usually send the people that are sailing a copy as well. But if there's any questions or highlights that need to go out, our agent makes sure that we know exactly what they mean by this, or they contact Disney or go through their company to make sure that the legal mumbo jumbo is all figured out for us. So
yeah, contacting Disney is another great thing, because if there's an issue, like I've read so many things of people having to cancel their trips because of coronavirus, and now instead of you having to deal with the cruise line and calling and asking questions or figuring out how to cancel, you know, your travel agent's sitting on hold for hours on end trying to figure out what needs to be done next.
Yep.
For you.
And then passing that info to you so that you can make an educated decision and give them the authorization to do what they need to. So it's really a huge benefit. And like Mary said, some of the really good travel agents won't charge a fee for their services. So,
so that's enough about travel.
yeah.
After you've booked your cruise, check out on Facebook to see if there is a Facebook group for your sailing. This pages share information. You can join fish extender groups if you want to. It's great for getting additional tips, asking people who have been on your ship or maybe even that itinerary before, what they think is best. And it's nice to just get to know who is going to be on your sailing. A couple of times we've run into people from the Facebook group, but we do it really just to help other cruisers out, I guess, with questions and because we've done fish extender and I've run candy exchange groups on a couple of sailings before. So.
Yeah, the Facebook group is full of people that are anywhere from platinum all the way to new cruisers. So I think on our Panama Canal cruise, we have someone who's gone on 30 Disney cruises.
I feel like there's people who have been on more.
Probably.
There's people who this is their fifth Panama Canal, but there's also first-time cruisers. So
the people that are more experienced, especially like Mary said with this itinerary, they can pass that info. If someone has a question, they can say, "Hey, this is the question I have," and then experienced cruisers can come through with info that will help them.
Yep.
So.
Once you get closer to your cruise, complete online check-in. We touched on it a little bit. Platinum members and concierge guests can check in 120 days out from sailing. Gold is 105. Silver is 90, and first-time cruisers is 75. It is based on the highest Castaway Club membership in your cabin. So Bella is silver, but we are all gold, so we can check in as gold.
Yep.
During online check-in, complete all your forms, so that really all you have to do when you get there is sign the health questionnaire. Again, this could all change. We don't know what new processes are going to be implemented when cruising opens back up. But once we know, we'll talk about that as well. But like I said, fill out all your forms.
Book any ticketed meet and greets that you want, like the Princess Gathering that they have,
or special Star Wars ones for Star Wars Day at Sea.
And then they also have character breakfast with Mickey.
Yes, on 7 night or longer.
7 night or longer, yeah.
You can book spa services, Palo or Remy. Get your kids registered for youth clubs so that that's less to do once you get on the ship. Book excursions, but we don't. That took me a minute because we don't really book excursions. But
you can also at this during online check-in add any special events that are going to be happening over the cruise. Like for our Dream, we had my birthday loaded onto there. So.
All right. We just touched on registering your kids for the youth clubs. You say, yes, my kid can participate in experiences like playing with Play-Doh or face painting or stuff like that. Yes, my child can eat meals in the club if they are there during mealtime. You will have to say yes to these questions the first day you check your child in. But it's just to make sure that nothing has changed in that, 75 to 120 days.
Yeah, and the other thing with that is, we touched on it just a minute ago with registering your little ones for the clubs. You'll also set your secret word at that point. The cool thing about making sure that when you check in on the first day is you get an opportunity. Yeah, do you remember what your secret word is?
That you set up 3.5 months ago.
Because we base ours off of what Christian is into at the time, and in 3 months that changes. So when we got there, we were like,
I don't remember this time.
Okay, well.
I remember the last time I did it.
Yeah. But it all depends on what's going on and how you set it. It doesn't really matter, but you will need to set that secret word so that anyone that's authorized to pick up your little one has it, because your child won't be released without the secret word.
Yeah.
So.
At that point, also fill in who is authorized to pick them up. We're the only ones with them, but say a grandparent was cruising with us, we could authorize them.
And same thing for allowing them off the ship. So say grandparents came or aunts and uncles came and they were in a different stateroom, you can authorize your child to go off the ship with them. So
they have to fill out a form.
Yeah, you have to fill out a form for that, but it's definitely possible.
Yeah. Also, while you're doing online check-in, if you have those who are not old enough for the Oceaneer Club or Lab or the higher clubs, and you want to use the nursery, book times for the nursery while you're doing online check-in because they fill up fast. So if you want your, if say you just booked yourself a Apollo reservation, so now make sure if you need your child to be in the nursery during that Apollo reservation that you go and book the nursery as well. So there's a lot that can take place during online check-in, but it really only takes 20 minutes tops.
Yeah, it's not too long at all.
So next, download the Disney Cruise Line Personal Navigator app.
You'll need to do this before you get on the ship, or really rather before you lose cell signal and the ability to download it, because once you're on board you can download it utilizing the free package, but I'm pretty sure it's not big enough.
Also just go to
the
Connect at Sea desk and they'll help you.
Yeah.
But it is helpful to have it beforehand. Before you set sail, you can go on and you can see, you can set a countdown to when your cruise is. You can also go into your reservation and see stuff, and I think you can do online check-in on the app. I'm not sure though.
It's easier.
I did it on the computer. But once you get on the ship, the Personal Navigator app has all of the activities that are taking place that day, since they're trying to move away from wasting paper navigators. If you prefer paper, they are available at the guest services and Port Adventures desk, but it's a lot easier for me really to just go into the app and say, okay, this is the time that it is right now, or we want to know what's going on in an hour from now, so let's go to that time slot, and you can look for that, and you can look for just the kids club.
Another cool thing that they have is if you're maybe eating Navigator for the day and look at character appearances, and it has a favorite option, so about 10 to 15 minutes before the character is about to meet, it'll push a notification to your phone saying, hey, Minnie's about to meet, and it'll give you the location. So if you just get wrapped up in time, you can see it. So you can go through a whole day and say, hey, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, and it's not by account, it's by phone. So say Christian really wants to do something, then I can set my phone to get the notification. But if we all want to do something as a family, we can set it on Miriya's phone and really just kind of plan our day around that. And that also gets the kids involved at that point. But you're also trying to get them to eat breakfast, so they get distracted easily.
The app also has the ability so that you can chat with other people in your stateroom or other staterooms if you have their chat ID before sailing away. You can also see dining menus for all of the dining rooms.
Drink of the day, you can see the hours, really everything you can see on the Navigator. Plus more, they have a feature for it. Now, disclaimer with the chat, it does sometimes take a few minutes for it to come through.
If you're not in the app.
Yeah, if you're not in the app. So they encourage you to leave it open while you're on the ship, which is fine. But the other cool thing about the chat is they have all kinds of cool emojis. They have Star Wars, they have regular Disney, they have Pixar, random emojis. We like to push back and forth with different Star Wars ones depending on what's happening throughout the day.
But I will say the chat has gotten better since it first
much better
became part of the app.
And because they are going towards the paperless Navigator, the Wi-Fi on the ship is actually a lot better. You don't find dead spots.
As many.
Okay, not as many dead spots. You still do, but it's not too bad.
No, not at all. Okay. We'll touch more on internet and stuff on the ship in our next video with tips for once you're on the ship.
Yeah.
This is more before you board the ship.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned a little bit to note celebrations, birthdays, anniversaries, if you're on your honeymoon, you know, special stuff like that. And once you're on the ship, they'll help you celebrate. We've been on a ship twice for your birthday.
Yeah.
So last time we weren't technically on the ship on your birthday, but you know, it was a couple of days beforehand, so
it's not a big deal. No one's gonna know. I mean,
they know, but
they don't
you know, it was like 3 days before your birthday, so it wasn't a huge deal. And they'll bring you a cake and they'll sing to you, but you can also, you know, purchase big celebration cakes or whatever you want to do. But
you can purchase a whole bunch of stuff before you get to the port.
It has to be at least 3 days before.
Yeah, and they have different like decorations for your stateroom there. A wide variety of stuff. They have drink packages, not packages, but they have cases of water. They have cases of beer and stuff like that that you can purchase ahead of time.
But it also it varies by departure port.
Yes.
So be sure to go on and, you know, don't assume that something's going to be available.
Most things are available at Port Canaveral, but when you start looking at like Galveston or New Orleans, you start getting stuff that's reduced just because it's not an everyday port that Disney has. So
this one's super important. Tell your bank and your credit card company that you're going to be traveling.
Yep.
Because otherwise you won't be able to spend any money.
Yep. That's probably the biggest thing, because you would hate to, maybe you're on a Bahamas cruise and you stop at Nassau. You try and go get something from Starbucks or pull money out of the ATM, and it says you're declined because your credit card company they think it's fraud. With most banks, it's super easy. I do it all online. I just tell the bank, hey, I'm going to be gone from this date to this date, and I tell them where I'm going to be. That way, if they see charges that are coming through, they won't necessarily cut it off. They may contact you and be like, hey, we saw this come through. Is this you? But
yeah, we also do that when we're just taking road trips, so that, you know, we don't get our money cut off.
That way they don't think we're Bonnie and Clyde traveling across the United States.
Also, because your credit card will be charged on the ship before the end of your cruise. Once you get to a certain amount charged to your account, it will charge your card and then you know, restart from zero again. It's based on the length of the cruise, and off the top of my head I can't think of the exact amounts. I think for 30 night it might be 300, and for 7 night it might be something like 700. I might be completely wrong. But it is based on the length of the cruise. So once you get to that certain amount, it will charge to your card, and you'd hate for your card to not be able to be charged.
Yeah, and they do have perks, speaking about credit cards, if you have the Disney Rewards card. If you put that on file, I'm pretty sure you get a 10% merchandise discount. And that flags when you make purchases, because you can only make purchases in the gift shops utilizing your Key to the World card or Disney gift cards. You can't use an actual credit card or anything outside of that, because we tried to use our rewards
we had to
our
go to
redemption card,
guest services,
but we had to put it on the room, which wasn't a big deal. But also, if you're gold or platinum, you do have a discount associated, and that'll show as well. They'll use the higher discount no matter what. So.
Alright. Set up your free character call. This can be done online at any time. Have Mickey or Goofy call you, and, you know, have your kids get excited. Have them be the ones to tell your kids you're going on a cruise. We can't do that because we tell them before we even book it.
Yeah.
But Christian helped me decide when we were going to have Mickey, and then I think we had Mickey and Minnie call a second time for our last two cruises. The day we were getting on the Dream, we had Mickey call while we were at breakfast, and you guys almost missed it because you were getting breakfast.
Oh yeah, we were getting food, weren't we? Yeah. And you were like, come here.
And then we had Mickey and Minnie call us the day before we got on the Wonder, when we knew we'd be at the hotel.
Yeah. But we've seen videos of people that have their call set up when they know they're going to be on the way to the port. So again, talking about surprising your kids, like Mickey and Minnie, let them know, hey, we're going on a Disney cruise. But it's just super fun. It's a one-way conversation.
But it's cute.
Yeah, and the kids get really excited. I know Christian is.
Christian was excited, especially because, well, he knew when Mickey would be calling, but I think he forgot what time it was. And when you set it up, they tell you what phone number will be calling you, so you're not like, wait, who's this?
And you can put it in your phone. And
so
you can...
I had Mickey Mouse is calling us,
Yep.
so it was Christian liked it.
It's really cute.
Next, don't pack towels. Please don't. There are towels everywhere on the ship. There are towels in your stateroom. There are towels at the pool. There are towels to take to the beach on excursions if you're in a place where you could go to the beach, which is pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, don't take up space in your luggage with towels when you don't need to.
Yeah.
Someone on one of these last 2 sailings said that they know there's towels available, but they wanted to take theirs so that they could differentiate where their stuff was or something.
There's other things you can do. Like we've seen people that take the towels that are provided and they'll use like ship clips and they'll clip the towels to the lounge chairs. Do that. Have like a few different colors. That way you can put them in a certain arrangement and just remember that. Oh, hey, look, there's my stuff.
Yeah.
They take up way less space than a beach towel, especially a beach towel for each member of your party. Like.
Yeah, just remember if you take towels off the ship and take them to the beach, be sure to take them back.
Yeah.
A cast member is saying they lose something like 3 feathers.
Yeah.
Because people just don't bring them back.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and that includes at Castaway Key, which we don't really understand how that works, but
just bring it back to the ship.
Yeah.
Speaking of don't pack certain things, don't overpack. Okay, people. We've seen so many people. They start packing like 2 months before the cruise. We pack the night before we leave. You know, they pack this, they pack that. They're ready for their kids to change clothes 3 times in a day. They've got princess dresses, they've got costumes, they got a day outfit, a dinner outfit, 3 swimsuits per person. That's way too much stuff.
It's a lot, and you've got to carry it on, or you've got to
get it there.
You got to get it there, whether you're driving or whether you're flying. Doesn't really matter. You have to handle it at some point in time, and if anything, you have to repack it at the end of your cruise. So we're not saying don't bring those princess dresses.
No, definitely. We had 3 princess dresses.
But don't overwhelm yourself with too much stuff. We've talked about taking enough clothes for about half of our cruise, and then we do laundry on one of the sea days.
Yeah.
That's definitely an option if you want to save space. And it's even more important when you're talking about if your little one is still in diapers, because you have to accommodate for the diapers themselves. So
we'll do a post on what we pack and what we suggest to be packed, but don't take too much. Take princess dresses, but don't do like, oh, I need a costume to match every character we're going to meet on the ship. If you plan to meet 20 characters, that's 20 outfits that now you need to put in your suitcase somewhere.
There's also the shoes aspect. I think we take 3 pairs of shoes roughly per person. That includes our flip-flops.
Well, I have 4.
Oh yeah, you do. We've got our flip-flops, we've got our regular running shoes, we have our dress shoes, and what's your 4th one?
My Converse.
Oh yeah, and your Converse.
I keep my running shoes for running.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you don't need everything.
No. Prioritize what you need and go from there.
Alright. Unless you live within a couple of hours of the port that you're departing from, we really highly suggest that you arrive in the port city or a city close by the night before.
Yep.
We've stayed in Orlando twice now the night before leaving on the Dream and the Fantasy from Port Canaveral, but it was an hour drive, so it wasn't too bad. We stayed just outside of Vancouver. I don't remember what city it was. wasn't technically Vancouver, but we stayed just outside the city when we were departing from Vancouver for Alaska.
We stayed in Galveston. We stayed
we could see the ship from our hotel, even though we were like 10 minutes away. So, the reason we say this is if you're flying in and your flight gets delayed and now you're going to miss the ship, or you're driving and there's a terrible traffic accident that shuts down the highway for half the day and now you're going to miss the ship. Just, it's better safe than sorry, really. Just spend the $100 on a hotel the night before, and that way you don't miss the ship.
Yeah, you're almost, I don't want to say you are guaranteed, you're almost guaranteed to not miss the ship.
Yeah, unless something terrible happens.
Yes.
This is another thing we missed in online check-in. You get to pick your port arrival time, unless you're platinum, and then you don't have a port arrival time.
You also get a fancy place to check in, but we'll deal with that when we become
So, your port arrival time is not the time you're going to get on the ship, okay? No one is assigned a boarding time. Boarding is done by boarding group number based on your port arrival time. Port arrival times normally range from about 10:30 for the first one. From Port Canaveral, our port arrival time I think was 10 to 10:30, and then it was, I want to say 10:30 to 11 or something like that in New Orleans, because the port opens slightly later. Don't get a port arrival time that's super early if you're not going to be able to arrive super early. Just make sure you're there, in time to get on the ship. Everyone has to be on the ship by 3:30. Yeah. So be sure you're there, but don't arrive super duper early. We've heard people say, our port arrival time isn't until 1 o'clock, but we're going to get there at 10 just in case. Now,
they have port arrival times for a reason. That way they stagger in the guests as they're arriving, because you got to figure there are thousands of people on the ships. If you have everybody show up at the same time, it's going to be long lines. Everybody's going to start their vacation off all grumpy. Show up when your port arrival time is.
No, we've arrived slightly before our port arrival time because we have been the first port arrival time, and we want to be able to get a spot in the parking lot or parking garage so that, we can get over there and get in when we're supposed to be, so that we can try to beat those people who want to be there 3 hours early. Now, generally once they start boarding at around 12:30-ish maybe, depending on the port, depending on the ship, depending on when they're cleared to start boarding people. Eventually they will get to open boarding, and it won't be boarding group number anymore. But don't get there too early, and because you're still gonna have to wait.
Because again, your boarding group is based off of your port arrival time. If you arrive 3 hours early and they let you check in, great, you're gonna have to wait until your boarding group is called.
Or open boarding. Okay. Don't carry on more than you're going to need. We suggest you take a day bag with medication you'll need, glasses, contact lens solution just in case, a camera, swimsuits if you're going to swim that first day, or just wear them under your clothes onto the ship. Important documents, passports, all that good stuff.
Don't leave those with the porter. Please don't do that.
You won't be getting on the ship.
Nope.
But don't try and shove too much in your day bag. You will need to carry on any beverages you want to take on, but we're going to touch on that in a little bit as well. While we're here, speaking of passports, we touched on it last week a little bit. Passports are not necessary at this point for closed loop cruises, but we highly suggest them just in case something happens.
Fortune favors the prepared, I said last week.
But that's all we're going to say on passports. It's a touchy subject for some.
Yeah. The biggest thing with don't carry too much in your day bag is because your staterooms they will not be ready any earlier than 1:30. So you have to carry around all that stuff
If you get on the
Until
ship at noon,
Mm-hmm.
you now have an hour and a half to carry that around.
Yeah.
So you have to take it to lunch with you. You have to take it to the pool with you,
Yeah.
and you just have to lug it around. So
Don't carry
we
it.
had a couple of bags this last time because we had the computer, we had the swimsuits, we had my wine, your beer.
Yep.
But we had like the beach bag, and you had the backpack, and Christian had his backpack with his tablets and his toys.
Yep. And then you had your bag, but that had
diapers
and stuff in it. But it really wasn't too much. I mean, just kind of. I took most of it because Miriya had Isabella.
I wanted the beach bag in my bag.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Getting off, I had the beach bag.
We carried all of our luggage.
Yeah,
but we'll touch on that
later
next time as well.
But biggest thing is remember you're going to have to carry your stuff around until available. So.
Yep. Returning cruisers receive lanyards based on their Castaway Club status. But if you're a first-time cruiser, you won't receive a lanyard. So we suggest bringing a lanyard so that you can hold your key to the world card, because that key to the world card is your
everything.
Yeah, it lets you on and off the ship. It lets you into your room. It's what you use to charge things back to your room.
It's got your muster station on it. It's got your dining rotation on it, along with your dining time
and table.
Yep.
It has whether you are an adult and therefore can purchase alcohol or not.
It says whether you can charge or not, because on Christian and Isabella's we elected during online check-in for them to not have charging abilities. But for teens, you may say, okay, yeah, you can. Here's your money. This is what you can purchase with.
It also is what you need to retrieve your children from the youth clubs. So
yeah, more specifically, you need yours, because when you check in, you're gonna have a one single photo, but they do have facial recognition where they will isolate who is who, and so when you go check in your kid, your face pops up. If I were to have Miriya's, they'd be like, "You're not the right person." Like, whoa, true. But again, whole security system. We'll probably create we'll create a vlog for that later.
Okay, don't forget sunscreen. You're sailing where it's ocean and beaches and
hot,
and so sunscreen is important so you don't become a lobster.
Yeah, and it's better for you to bring your own on than it is to purchase it on the ship, because
it's expensive. If you do run out though and you absolutely need it, don't hesitate to get it, because then you're gonna be in pain from the sunburn.
And it's gonna be really, really bad. Also, like for us, we had baby sunscreen, making sure that we had the right stuff for us. I like the higher proof just because I like to make sure that I don't burn. Also, I like the sport spray on. That's just my preference because I don't like gluten stuff. But again, you can choose what you want if you bring it with you.
Yes.
Speaking of bringing things with you,
bring a pop-up hamper and put it in the closet. It fits perfectly, and now all your dirty laundry isn't just flopped on the floor or in a bag, making it all smelly.
Yeah.
Ewy.
It also makes doing laundry, like we've said, easier. You can just carry that over, dump your stuff in, do what you need to, come back, clean clothes, throw them in the laundry pop-up hamper, and get back to your room.
Speaking of laundry, you don't have to do laundry on the ship.
Nope.
But it makes it so that you can pack half the amount of stuff. Yep. So
why not?
We like it.
Yep.
And if you plan to do laundry, we highly suggest laundry pods.
Yes. Tide pods. Please don't eat them, but take them. They make it so much easier. You just toss the pod in, let it go, and
put it in. We take a small Rubbermaid container of 3 or 4, depending on how many loads of laundry you think you're going to have to do. Keep in mind, the washers on the ship are smaller than what you will have in your home. So you may have to do 2 loads of laundry, where at home you'd only have to do 1 for that amount of clothes.
Yeah, and like we said last week or the week before, they do have detergent for sale in the laundry room. So
it's not overpriced either.
No,
it's not too bad.
I just wouldn't want to just go on
Oh,
and
no.
purchase it all the time. It's just easier for us. So
Yeah. Plan to decorate your door. The doors and the walls of the staterooms are magnetic. So you can bring magnets and only magnets
Yep.
to hang things up, because if you bring tape or sticky stuff of any type, you will be paying a fee for them to scrape that crap off the wall and repaint. So, magnets, you know, as long as they're tasteful. Bring your magnets that, you know, celebrate your love of Disney, your favorite characters.
Yeah.
If this is your first cruise, we saw some really cool ones.
Yeah.
There was one door that this couple had been on every inaugural cruise for every ship, every itinerary. It was so cool.
There was also a ridiculous one where it took up not only the entire
Yeah, that
door,
was
but
bananas.
extended to the wall space between.
They had a picture of every dining team they've had in their like 60 cruises.
Yep.
So
They were crazy.
it was extensive.
It was.
We also have seen people have maps on their door that they'll have people put a sticker in the city, write the city where they're from on the map, which is pretty cool. We've seen a lot of cool things. I
Yeah.
like to just walk around and look at people's doors after I run in the morning, you know, see what I wouldn't normally see because we're not near that stateroom.
Yeah, and it's really, it's your imagination is your limit, really, and the only thing that you're limited by is it has to be a magnet. You have to be able to put magnet tape or hot glue magnets to it, and
Yeah.
you should be fine. So.
Yep. Or even, you know, we've had a couple of magnets fall off, just stick it on.
Mm-hmm.
Like you
Stick it
put
back on.
something on your refrigerator.
Yeah.
But yeah, decorate your door. It's fun. Or if you don't want to decorate your door because it's become so big now, now a blank door will help you figure out where your room is. It used to be, you know,
true.
your magnets would help you remember where your room was, and now there's just so many doors with magnets that if you're not paying attention, you'd be like, wait, which one's mine?
What am I doing? Yeah.
Another great way to get involved with others on your cruise is to do gift exchanges like fish extenders or candy exchange or magnet exchange, recipe exchange, stuff like that, where you walk around the ship and you have a door hanger and you deliver gifts to other people that are in your group. To join these groups, it's normally part of the Facebook group for your sailing. I will say there's some rumor that these might be going away because of health and safety, but
We'll see.
we don't know.
We won't speculate. We'll just.
Just saying what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of what I've heard, a lot of people claim they do not like the taste of the water on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with it, but we have weird chlorinated tasting Texas water.
True. That concho water's got an interesting taste to it, but.
Especially because they just started putting more chlorine in it.
Yep.
Anyway, so you can bring bottled water onto the ship. Like we said, you must carry it on that first day, because if it is found in your checked luggage, they will remove it. Or they're at least supposed to. Porters have been known to take it because they don't work for the cruise line and they don't really care. Don't put a case of water or your wine or whatever in your checked luggage, because when the next suitcase gets thrown on top of that and it breaks, now your clothes and everybody's clothes that were in suitcases under your suitcase are now soaking wet
Yep.
and nasty. Don't do it, please. But you can bring bottled water. You can bring, you know, people bring
If they have a certain brand
Pepsi of whatever, if
drink
it
that they
can't
want.
be found on the ship,
Mhm.
or you know, just, you have to carry it on.
Yep. Some kids like juice boxes. People will bring juice boxes. You just
Remember,
gotta
everything has to be
carry-
sealed.
Yeah, that's it.
Sealed and carried. Speaking of drinks, if you are a beer drinker, you want to talk about this one?
Sure. So we mentioned it earlier about items that can be purchased prior to arriving at Port Canaveral. Or one of those things is a beer mug. So it is a
Here, I'll go get it.
yeah. I was gonna say It's a 26. It's a 21 ounce glass, and the way it works is you bring it to the bar or to whatever establishment that you're at, and they will fill it up with the beer of your choice for the 16 ounce price, which is the biggest beer that they have. Yep. Now, the cool thing about it is that I'll go and I'll fill up my beer and I'll take it with me, and then probably before the night ends or at another point during the cruise, if I don't feel like carrying it around, I'll go up to the bar and I will say, I would like a token, please. And they will actually take my glass from me, and they will give me a card that I usually put in my Key to the World lanyard. Yep. And I walk around the ship, do whatever I need to, and each time you go and you get your beer mug, it's a brand new glass. So typically what I will do is I will go through the whole cruise. After I'm done with my beer, I'll get a token. That way I don't have to carry it around. And then at the end of the cruise, I will get one final drink, and I will just simply bring this with me.
So you can have it at home.
Yep. And
it's a nice mug.
Yep. I just make sure that I have this with me before I get on. And
you can take it back for the next cruise, and the next cruise, and the next cruise. Just pay the $15 the one time to buy the mug.
And you don't necessarily have to bring this off with you. You can definitely get a token, like I said. And
I did that on the Dream because it was just a few days. But
I didn't want to have to deal with it, so I took my token off. And when we got on the ship in New Orleans, I said, here you go. And they took my token. Now, there is one big thing with the beer mug. Because glass is not necessarily not allowed, you're highly encouraged not to have glass on the pool deck. Obviously, if you have your beer and from the lower decks and you bring it up, they're not really going to say anything. But if you get a beer at one of the bars on the pool deck, the beer mug will not be glass. It will be a blue plastic, and then you'll experience the same thing with the drink of the day up on the pool deck as well, which is again $15, and it changes by day. So it's a really great.
It's worth the mug.
Yeah, it definitely is worth the mug. I use it at home randomly. But even just you get an extra 5 ounces of beer for free is a great thing, and the fact that you can use it over and over and over again.
You don't have to buy a new one each cruise.
Yep, it's definitely a big plus. So,
speaking of alcohol, if you are an alcohol drinker and you are obviously of age, do not underage drink. Each guest that is 21 and older can bring a 6-pack of beer or 2 bottles of wine onto the ship at each port of call.
Mm-hmm.
So when we got on the ship, he had his beer, I had my wine. It was in our day bag. We brought it on. We didn't get any more at any of the other ports because we just didn't stop anywhere to get some.
Mm-hmm.
But
if you definitely wanted to, and you go through all that you have, then you can definitely, in the Bahamas, Key West, really anywhere, like Miriya said, any port of call, you can bring on that same allotment. I believe there's a fluid ounce limit for wine.
Wine has to be a 750 milliliter bottle, each one.
Yeah.
And the beer cannot be more than 12 ounces.
Yeah. So, and again, standard cans are preferable, I believe. Yeah. Just because, again, they're going to be rolling around in your day bag, so it's just easier that way.
But, it's pretty good because a lot of cruise lines don't allow you to take anything on at all in terms of beverages. And, now you don't have to pay for a drink from the bar as many times.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Bring a refillable mug or water bottle onto the ship with you. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to change, okay?
Yes.
The beverage station, at least for a while, is not going to be self-serve. We looked at a navigator from right before cruising stopped because of coronavirus, and there was someone manning the drink station, and it was not open 24 hours anymore. I think it closed for about 5 hours at night. Because, a cast member has to be there waiting to fill stuff up. So, still bring your cup, your bottle, go up to the drink station, ask the nice cast member for whatever it is you would like to drink, and then pour it into your bottle.
Yep, or ask them for two. If I can guarantee you, one of their glasses is not going to fill my water bottle up, but you can go up as many times as you want and get it done.
But now you also have your bottle or your glass or whatever that you can carry around, and isn't the paper cup that is now going to sweat like you are in the sun, and
Yep.
It's just easier, especially now that there's no lids, there's no straws, so.
Yep. Makes things a lot easier.
Yeah. We touched on that a little bit last week with the, talking about the hot chocolate, get the drink and the hot chocolate, or the hot chocolate and ice cream, and then go off and combine them.
Yeah. What you do with it after you leave with it,
they don't care. But, just, it's for sanitary reasons. We completely understand. We fully support. We want cruising to come back as soon as possible. Yeah. But we also want people to stay healthy just like they do.
Yep.
This is the last tip that we have for the before you board video. Bring small bills.
Yep.
Once you're on the ship, did we talk about room service? No. We'll talk about that some other time too.
Yeah.
Room service is mostly included in your cruise fare. However, those that bring you your ice cream, your whatever
your sandwich,
order from room service, they are not on the regular gratuity list. So, tip them $1 or $2 per item that you order, and
Yeah, I typically give them at least $1 per, and if it's like a heavier item, then I'll usually do $2 per for that plate. But another thing besides room service is the porters. They're gonna take your bag. They're gonna make sure it gets on the ship.
Or when you're
leaving. Yeah, we typically handle our bags to the most extent that we can. But I mean, when we drop them off, we usually only drop off like 2 or 3 bags. So we definitely, because of the way that New Orleans was set up, we had to use the porter. So just make sure you have those small bills.
Yeah, it's suggested $1 to $2 per bag. So it's nothing crazy unless you have like 10 bags.
Yeah, then you probably float them a 10 or a 20 and call it good. But I mean, at that point, it's out of your hands and you're on your way with your 1 or 2 day bags, and the next time you see your bags they'll be outside your stateroom. So it's not too much.
But so hopefully we've helped you at least be entertained with our tips. Like we said, this is just video number 1. This is before you get on the ship. Next week we will have once you get on the ship tips, which will be probably just as many tips. So
I hope you guys enjoyed, and like we've said before, if you have any tips or any requests for what you want to hear us talk about, let us know in the comments below. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and then subscribe to our channel so that you can get notifications when we post these videos. We post them about every week, so we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.